The NBA preseason is heating up, and on October 7, 2025, we've got two intriguing matchups that might not count in the standings, but definitely count for bettors and fans looking for an edge before the regular season tips off. Welcome back to Beyond the Box Score, where we don't just look at the numbers, we break them down, connect the dots, and give you the story behind every stat. Today, we're diving deep into the Chicago Bulls versus Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers versus Minnesota Timberwolves. Two games with 4 free picks you'll want to lock in early. So sit back, because we've got insights, injury updates, and tactical breakdowns coming your way that could help you cash out big this Tuesday night. Let's start in Cleveland, where the Cavaliers play host to the Chicago Bulls in a matchup that feels like a mini statement game for both sides. The Bulls are still trying to find their rhythm after an uneven preseason, one filled with shaky shooting, stop and start chemistry, and a few nagging injuries that have thrown off their rotations. On the other side, the Cavs are trying to hold their ground defensively despite missing some key pieces in the backcourt. Max Strus remains out following offseason foot surgery that'll sideline him for at least 3 months, stripping Cleveland of one of their best floor spacers. And the bigger question: Darius Garland, still recovering from toe surgery, hasn't been cleared for full game action. He's doing light work on the court, but insiders don't expect him to suit up for this one. That means the offensive load once again falls heavily on Donovan Mitchell's shoulders. Cleveland's system under J.B. Bickerstaff remains built on structure, discipline, and defense-first execution. They'll lean on Caris LeVert, Dean Wade, and Georges Niang to fill in the gaps offensively and provide spacing around Mitchell. The Mobley-Allen tandem remains the team's identity anchor. Two long, athletic defenders capable of turning every drive into a detour. Chicago, meanwhile, might be short-handed as well. Patrick Williams rolled his ankle in practice last week and is questionable for this game, a blow that limits their flexibility on defense and forces DeMar DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic to shoulder even more of the offensive load. The Bulls' backcourt duo of Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu has shown glimpses of explosiveness, but consistency has been their Achilles heel. And facing a disciplined Cleveland defense that loves to shrink the floor and contest everything in the paint is going to test their shot creation and decision-making. Expect the Bulls to push the tempo early. That's their best chance to avoid getting bogged down against Cleveland's half-court defense, but sustaining that pace on the road is no easy feat. What this game really comes down to is control. Cleveland knows how to slow the game, dictate rhythm, and turn possessions into a grind. Even without Garland and Strus, they've got the defensive backbone and home crowd edge to manage this one. The Bulls, when their offense stalls, tend to fall into isolation-heavy stretches that make them predictable, exactly what a defense like Cleveland's wants. If the Bulls aren't hitting their threes early, expect the Cavaliers to pull away late behind Mitchell's scoring bursts and Mobley's steady presence inside. The value here leans toward Cleveland covering at home. The Cavs' chemistry, defense, and ability to control tempo make them the smarter side play. As for the total, this one screams under. Both teams can put up points in stretches, but this matchup favors slower possessions, heavy defense, and physical play inside. Cleveland will try to grind Chicago down on the boards and limit transition opportunities. Meanwhile, the Bulls' offense, without great ball movement, could struggle to produce consistent scoring runs. Expect long possessions, defensive pressure, and limited second chance points. This one projects to land below the posted total, especially in the second half when both teams tighten up rotations. Now let's head to Minnesota, where the Timberwolves host the Indiana Pacers, and this one might quietly be the most intriguing of the night. Indiana enters the post-Tyrese Halliburton era, at least temporarily, after that devastating Achilles injury he suffered during the NBA Finals. The Pacers' entire offensive identity last season ran through Halliburton, their leading scorer, primary playmaker, and the engine of their transition game. Without him, this team is still figuring out how to play fast without losing control. Pascal Siakam is now tasked with running the show more often, operating from the high post to create mismatches and facilitate offense. Benedict Mathurin becomes the perimeter focal point, while Andrew Nebbard steps in at point guard. Nebbard is calm under pressure and plays with poise, but facing Rudy Gobert and the Timberwolves' suffocating defense is an early season trial by fire. Indiana's plan will be to keep pushing the pace. Even without Haliburton, this team doesn't want to get trapped in the half court. Obi Toppin and Aaron Nesmith bring athleticism off the bench, giving them bursts of speed and scoring when the starters rest. But here's the catch: Minnesota's defense is built specifically to stop that kind of team. Rudy Gobert still owns the paint, and with Jaden McDaniels locking up wings on the perimeter, there aren't many easy buckets to be found. Anthony Edwards, meanwhile, is emerging into full-blown superstar territory. He's not just the Wolves' best scorer anymore, he's their tone setter on both ends. His one-on-one battle with Mathurin will be a highlight. Minnesota's offense now runs more cleanly through Edwards after Karl Anthony Towns moved to New York. Naz Reid has stepped up as the interior scoring threat, while Nickeil Alexander-Walker provides floor spacing and defensive energy. This is a team that knows who it is: tough, organized, and ready to make teams work for everything on their home court. The Timberwolves have quietly become one of the NBA's most reliable defensive units. They held opponents under 104 points per game over their final 10 home games last season and haven't lost that edge heading into preseason. Meanwhile, Indiana's offense without Haliburton has looked inconsistent, averaging just 107 points in preseason contests. The chemistry isn't there yet, and against a defense as tight as Minnesota's, that's a major concern. Expect Edwards to control the game's tempo, Gobert to dominate the boards, and Minnesota's bench, led by Monty Morris and Kyle Anderson, to keep the defensive intensity high even when the starters sit. Indiana's going to fight, and Siakam will get his points, but Minnesota's structure, depth, and home court comfort should give them a clear edge. The smarter side play is Minnesota to win and cover the spread as home favorites. For the total, preseason handicapping can be tricky since rotations and substitution patterns create unpredictability. But in this case, both teams have reasons to run. Indiana wants to test its bench and offensive rhythm, while Minnesota's second unit has enough scoring punch to keep things moving. The Timberwolves' defensive edge could suppress some of Indiana's shooting, but the pace of play and extra preseason minutes for rotation guys tilt this slightly toward the over. So, if you're tracking Tuesday's NBA slate, the best bets here look clear: Cleveland Cavaliers to win and cover, under the total in their game versus Chicago. Minnesota Timberwolves to win and cover, and a slight lean to the over in their matchup against the Pacers. That's 4 picks total, 2 games, and plenty of angles to capitalize on. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe to Beyond the Box Score and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with the picks, or are you seeing an upset brewing? Let's talk basketball, betting, and everything in between, because here, it's not just about the score. It's about what's beyond it.